Hey everyone, and welcome back to Becoming Ultimate Masters. We're diving deep today into a fascinating concept from one of Neville Goddard's lectures. And this one might turn your world upside down a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever considered that maybe everything you experience, all the ups and the downs, all the joys and challenges, are actually movements happening within God?
Hmm.
And get this, God isn't some distant being out there, but rather God is your own imagination.
Yeah, it is a really radical concept when you think about it.
Yeah,
What Goddard is saying is we're not just little puppets being controlled,
right.
by some force outside of us. We are the operant power of God.
I love that phrase, operate power.
Yeah.
It really makes me think of like, choosing your character in a video game. Like you get to make the choices, you get to kind of decide what happened.
You get to decide the outcome.
You get to decide the outcome, exactly.
Yeah.
So how does this movement within God work? I mean, it sounds kind of
Yeah.
mystical and out there.
Well, think of it like this, okay? Imagine you're directing a play. You get to choose the setting, you choose the characters, you choose what happens to them.
Right.
Goddard says that's how our imagination works.
Hmm.
He uses the example of the biblical creation story, right, where the Spirit of God moved upon the waters.
Yeah.
That's a metaphor for our imagination, bringing things into being.
So like our thoughts and imaginings are kind of like seeds that we plant
Exactly.
in our mind, and then they grow and manifest in our lives.
That's it. It's the law of identical harvest, What you plant in your mind, you'll eventually reap in your experience.
So if I'm constantly thinking negative thoughts and being fearful and
Yeah.
doubtful, then that's what I'm going to see more of in my life.
Most likely, yeah. But if you focus on positive thoughts,
Right.
what you want to create, that's what you start to see in your reality.
Okay, so it's not just about wishing for things or hoping for things, but really about
Right?
cultivating the feeling and the thought.
It's about owning your inner world,
Yeah,
Like, let's say your dream of getting a scholarship.
okay.
You can't just wish for it.
Right.
You need to feel what it would be like to receive that scholarship. Like
Okay.
the excitement, the relief, the gratitude.
Yeah.
Seeing yourself walking across that stage, accepting the award.
Yeah.
Imagining how proud your family and friends would be.
So really embody it, even though it's not happened yet.
Yes.
It's like,
You step into the role.
yeah, you step into the role
Wanna play.
in your own life story. That's really cool.
Yeah, now this is where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
Because Goddard connects this power of imagination to Jesus Christ.
Wait, hold on. Jesus, like the religious figure.
Yeah.
How does that fit in?
It's not about religion in the traditional sense.
Okay.
Goddard is using Jesus as a symbol for the power that resides within each of us, the power to overcome limitations and negativity.
Hmm.
Remember, Jesus literally means Jehovah saves.
Right.
And Jehovah, in this context, represents the divine creative power of imagination.
So instead of looking outside of ourselves for a savior,
Right.
we have that power within us.
Exactly. The power to save ourselves, the power to transform our lives lies within our own imagination.
Wow, that's really powerful stuff.
It is. And, to illustrate this idea of our interconnectedness and divine nature, Goddard shares an amazing story about a woman who had a vision.
Ooh, tell me about the vision. Visions are always so interesting.
Okay, so in her vision,
Yeah.
she sees these bursts of light, each representing a different person.
Hmm.
And as she's watching, she sees these individual lights start to emerge
Wow.
and blend together until they ultimately form one giant, brilliant light.
What do you think that merging of light signifies?
Well, it's a beautiful representation of this idea of a collective consciousness. We often feel separate and alone, right?
Yeah.
But on a deeper level, we're all connected. We're all part of the same divine source.
Right.
And this vision suggests that we're all on this journey back to that unity,
Yeah.
Back to that realization of our shared divinity. And that's something that can give us a lot of hope, especially when we're facing challenges or feeling lost in our lives.
That is such a powerful image. I love that. And it makes me think about another vision that Goddard shared. The one about the masked figure with the empty skull.
Oh, yeah.
What was that all about?
Well, think about it. We all wear masks in our daily lives, don't we?
We do.
We do.
Yeah.
We present ourselves in certain ways. We hide our true selves. We
Right.
get so caught up in playing roles.
Yeah.
But this vision is a reminder that behind all those masks, behind our individual personalities and experiences, there's this deeper reality,
Hmm.
a divine consciousness that connects us all.
So it's like we're all actors in a grand play
Exactly.
wearing these costumes,
Yeah,
pretending to be something that we're not.
right.
And the goal is to remember who we truly are underneath the costumes.
Yes, and Goddard wants us to wake up to our true nature,
Hmm.
to stop identifying so strongly with the masks that we wear.
Yeah.
And that's where this idea of moving in God comes in, consciously choosing the state we want to occupy in our imagination.
Oh, that's fascinating. So how do we actually do that? How do we move in God?
Right. How do we move
Yeah.
in our everyday lives?
What does that even mean?
Well, that's a great question, and one that we'll dive into after a quick break.
Okay.
Stay with us. We'll be right back to unpack this idea of moving in God and explore how it can really transform your life.
Awesome. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Welcome back to Becoming Ultimate Masters.
Okay, so we talked about how our thoughts and feelings are like seeds we plant in our minds, and how we can create by choosing the states that we occupy in our imagination.
Yeah.
But how does this moving actually happen? I mean, it's not like we're physically walking around inside of God, right?
No, it's more about a shift in our consciousness, in our awareness.
Okay.
It's about choosing very deliberately where we want to place our attention and what we want to focus on.
Okay, so let's say like I'm feeling really stuck or unhappy in a certain area of my life. How do I actually move myself into a better state?
Well, Goddard uses this analogy of crossing a bridge.
Okay,
Imagine there's a bridge separating your current reality from the reality that you want.
okay,
To move across that bridge, you need to let go of the old state, the negativity, the fear, the doubt,
right.
and step into the new state, the one where your desire is already fulfilled.
So it's not about pretending like the negative stuff isn't there,
No.
but more about choosing to focus on something different, something better.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you have the power to choose what you dwell on.
Okay.
Like, let's go back to that scholarship example.
Okay,
If you're feeling anxious about not getting it, you can choose to shift your focus to the feeling of already having it.
okay.
You can visualize yourself celebrating with your family. Imagine using that scholarship money to pursue your dreams and really feel that joy and gratitude that comes with that achievement.
That makes a lot of sense, but what about like the practical steps? How do we actually make that shift happen in our minds? Is it just a matter of like sitting and daydreaming?
Well, daydreaming is a good start,
Okay,
but there are more structured techniques you can use.
okay.
Goddard talks a lot about the power of visualization.
Hmm.
Close your eyes and imagine yourself in the scene where your desire is fulfilled.
Okay.
Make it as vivid and real as possible. Engage all your senses.
Hmm.
What do you see or feel, smell, even taste in that moment of success?
So it's like creating a mental movie where you're the star.
Exactly, and don't just watch the movie, you really feel yourself in it.
Yeah,
Embrace those emotions, the sensations, the positive energy of that reality.
I love that.
Another powerful technique is affirmation.
Okay,
Create a statement that reflects your desired reality in the present tense.
okay,
Like, for example, you could say, I am a scholarship recipient,
okay.
or I am living my dream life.
Hmm.
Repeat these affirmations regularly with conviction and really feel the truth of them in your heart.
So it's like training our minds to believe in the reality we want to create,
Yeah.
even if it hasn't quite manifested in the physical world yet.
Precisely. You see, most people live their lives reacting to the world around them.
Hmm.
They let their circumstances dictate their thoughts and feelings.
Right.
But Goddard is calling for a radical shift in perspective.
Hmm.
He wants us to stop being passive observers and become conscious creators.
So it's like we're taking control of the steering wheel instead of just letting the car go wherever it wants.
Yes.
But that sounds like a lot of effort. Do we have to be constantly vigilant about our thoughts and feelings?
It's not about being perfect. It's about becoming more aware.
Hmm.
And the more you practice these techniques, the more natural they'll become.
Okay.
It's like exercising a muscle,
Yeah.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Right. This actually reminds me of something we talked about earlier. Goddard's idea that the universe is imagination creating while it is fast asleep.
That's right. Most people are creating unconsciously,
Yeah.
reacting to their circumstances instead of actively shaping their realities, letting their fears and doubts run the show.
Right.
Goddard's message is like a wake-up call.
Hmm.
He's saying, hey, you have this incredible power within you.
Right.
It's time to start using it consciously.
So how do we actually wake up from that sleepwalking state?
Well, it starts with paying attention.
Hmm.
Become an observer of your own thoughts and feelings. Notice your habitual patterns,
Okay.
And when you find yourself dwelling on negativity or fear, gently shift your focus to something more positive.
Hmm.
It's not about denying the negative,
Right.
but it's about choosing a different perspective.
So it's about making that conscious choice in each moment to focus on what we want rather than what we don't want.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you are the author of your own story.
Yeah.
You get to decide how the narrative unfolds.
This is so empowering, but it also feels like a huge responsibility. What if we mess things up? What if we create something we don't intend?
Well, that's a valid concern, but remember, you're not alone in this process.
Hmm,
Goddard often talked about the role of the feeling,
right.
that sense of knowing, of deep inner conviction that bides us toward our desires.
So it's not just wishful thinking,
Right.
but it's about aligning our thoughts and feelings with our deepest desires, those things that really resonate with our souls.
Absolutely. And as you do that, you'll find that the universe conspires to support you.
Hmm,
Synchronicities will appear, opportunities will open up,
yeah.
and you'll start to see evidence that you're on the right track.
This makes me think about the story that Goddard shared about his brother Victor,
Oh, yeah.
who used his imagination to acquire a large business building even though he was facing financial difficulties at the time.
Yeah, Victor's story is a perfect example of the power of persistent imagination.
Right,
He didn't let his current circumstances dictate his reality.
right.
He held fast to that vision of himself as the owner of that building.
Yeah.
And eventually, his internal reality became his external reality.
So even if our current situation doesn't match our desired outcome,
Right.
we shouldn't give up on that vision.
Keep nurturing it.
Yeah, keep nurturing it, keep feeling it as real,
Yes,
and trust that the universe will find a way to make it happen.
you got it. It's about surrendering to that creative power within you,
Yeah.
trusting the process, and letting go of the need to control every detail.
Oh, this is so inspiring. It feels like a whole new way of looking at the world and at our own potential. But before we get too carried away, I want to bring us back to something we touched on earlier, this idea of moving in God.
Okay.
We've talked about techniques for shifting our consciousness, but what does it actually mean to move within God? What does it look and feel like?
That's a great question, and one that we'll explore in more depth right after this.
Welcome back to Becoming Ultimate Masters. We've been talking about this whole idea of moving in God, how we use our imagination to shape our reality, and how we can really create those lives that we desire.
It really is such a powerful concept, isn't it? It really challenges us to kind of rethink our role in the universe.
Right, and we've talked about all these practical techniques like the visualization and the affirmations.
Right.
But before we wrap up today, I really want to kind of dig a little deeper into what it actually means to move in God. It sounds really profound, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully grasp it yet.
Well, it's about recognizing that this power we've been talking about, this creative power of imagination,
Yeah.
it's not really something that we possess like on our own.
Hmm.
It's a gift. It's an expression of something way larger than ourselves.
Right.
Goddard uses the word God,
Hmm.
but you can call it whatever resonates with you.
Yeah.
You can call it source, you can call it universe, you can call it higher power, you can call it the quantum field.
So it's not about controlling or manipulating the universe, but about aligning ourselves
Yeah.
with something greater.
That's it. It's like becoming a conduit
Yeah.
for that creative energy.
Okay, so it's like letting go of that need to control everything and having faith in the process.
That's beautiful.
But how do we know if we're moving in the right direction?
Right.
How do we know if we're not just fooling ourselves?
Well, Goddard talked a lot about the importance of feeling.
Hmm.
It's hard enough to just, think positive thoughts or just repeat affirmations.
Right.
You need to actually feel the reality that you're trying to create.
Okay.
It's about cultivating that deep inner knowing, that sense of certainty
Hmm.
that tells you that you're on the right path.
So it's not just wishful thinking, but
Right.
it's like a deep embodied knowing.
Exactly. It's about feeling that joy, that gratitude, that peace, that love,
Right.
all those emotions that are associated with your desired reality as if it were already here.
Okay. I love that. But that sounds kind of challenging.
Yeah.
Life throws its curveballs. Things don't always go our way. How do we maintain that sense of faith and trust when things are tough?
Yeah, it's not about denying the challenges or pretending like everything's perfect.
Yeah.
It's about choosing to focus on the good even amidst those difficulties.
Okay.
Remember that story we talked about, the woman's vision where all those individual lights merged into one?
Yes.
That's a really powerful reminder that even when we're going through those dark times, there's a bigger picture unfolding.
Right.
There's a greater light that's guiding us.
It's like remembering that we're not alone, that we're all connected, and that there's a
Yes.
power greater than ourselves kind of
Yes.
helping us through it all.
Beautifully said. And that's the essence of moving in God.
Mm.
Trusting in that connection, surrendering to that power, and knowing that even when things feel really difficult,
Yeah.
we're ultimately being guided towards our highest good.
This has been such an amazing deep
It
dive.
has.
I'm so glad we do this.
Me too.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights and your wisdom.
It's been my pleasure. I hope this conversation has sparked something within you, a sense of possibility and empowerment.
Absolutely. And for all of our listeners out there, if you're feeling inspired to explore these ideas further, check out www.ultimatemasters.org coaching or WhatsApp us at +256-771-324-119. We love sharing these insights with you every single day, so make sure to subscribe and share this episode with those that you love so they too can benefit from this information.
Remember, you have that power to create the life you desire.
Hmm.
Start by choosing a state, feeling it as real, and just watch as your world begins to transform.
Such a great reminder. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.